emergency conversation. And I'm just going to drag it from the big stories so we can talk about it. I hope we can have a good conversation about it. And it will not be related to politics. No, we're going to be looking at governance today, because the one political conversation I wanted to have, my guests happened to travel to Abuja. All right. Once again, welcome. I hope you are having a good time. Now, I want us to look at the current situation of things, right? Inflation is high there, over 33%. We've just been told that food inflation, according to reports and records, is now at 40.53%. That is what the food inflation is like, according to the Daily Post. Hardship in Nigeria has worsened as the country's food inflation increased to 40.53% in April from 40.01% in March 2024. There's no respite in sight for the common man in the country. Petrol, a friend of mine told me that an acquaintance told me she bought petrol at the price of 845 naira, if I'm very correct right now, somewhere along Stadium Road. And it means that to transport yourself from point A to point B is becoming even more expensive, right? And there is that one. There is the talk about the value of the naira. I just checked the business update from the last hour, and the dollar currently sitting at 1,517 naira 36 kobo when you're looking at CBN rates, while the black market rates, it's 1,514 naira to a dollar. I do hear rather that CBN, EFCC, I don't know which is which now, but I think that they are now having it hard on BDCs and all the currency speculators, in an attempt to restore some value to the naira. But why am I talking about all of this? Why am I making reference to all of these data? It is because yesterday, Labour, NLC-TUC, walked out on the minimum wage committee meeting, a tripartite meeting, Labour, the federal government and the private sector. And the Labour walked out because there was a proposal made to Labour that the minimum wage that the government can afford is 48,000 naira. You heard me right? They are saying 48,000 naira is what the government can afford. And Labour is saying, no, that's not good enough. That's not something we would accept. There is also the talk about 56,000 naira for the private sector, the organized private sector, 56,000 naira. So I want to look at these two proposals, 48 and 56, and then put it side by side with the current economic reality. I just told you about the value of the naira. CBN rates, I'm talking about the official window. It is 1,517 naira 36 kobo. That's what it is right now. It means that there was some decline in value as to what the naira is against the dollar, right? And I told you about the current data for, not current per se, but the latest data for food inflation, which is like the price of food items, and it has gone up to 40.53% from 40.01%. It's just a pointer to the fact that things are very expensive, or at least at the time when they made when they came up with the data, which is the month of April, things were very, very expensive. This is what the 16th of May. By June, we would know how expensive things are currently. All right, how expensive things are in the month of May, we would get to know. But my point is, People are finding it difficult to afford transportation with the current price of petrol. People are finding it difficult to pay house rents and school fees and all of these bills and responsibilities that people carry. Is 48,000 naira enough? Now, we've looked at labor's own demand in time past, and we've had a conversation on that issue where I remember I asked the question, 615,000 naira, is this something that is feasible? Is this something that the government can pay? I even talked about it at the time. I said, shouldn't labor be asking for refineries and factories and, industries that can employ people, not just employ people, but encourage productivity so that the money, the naira, becomes something of value, and that people can earn, and whatever little thing that we earn now will become valuable when those industries are functioning optimally. I remember we talked about that, but this time let us look at it from the government owned side and the proposal that they have made, that they are saying, hey, what we can afford is 48,000 naira. Like my colleague asked, what can 48,000 naira buy? That's what the conversation would be like. What can 48,000 naira buy in today's market? Once again, making reference to the data, 40.53% inflation, food inflation. What can 48,000 naira buy? You should understand that the food inflation covered the following items: millet flour, gari, bread, wheat flour, semovita, yam tuber, water yam, cocoa yam, under potatoes, yam and other tubers class, okay? Coconut oil, palm kernel oil, vegetable oil, dried fish, sardine, dried fish sardine, catfish dried, mudfish dried, beef head, beef feet, liver, frozen chicken, mango, banana, grapefruit, Lipton tea, Bonvita, Milo. These are the things that were classified under the food items that inflation moved from 40.01 to 40.53%. Remember, inflation is still somewhere around 33.69%. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of these statistics. I just needed to put that out there because this is hard facts. But coming back to my conversation, really, what can 48,000 naira buy for that civil servant, or 56,000 naira for that individual working in a private sector? So really, what are your thoughts on this one? Now, according to the Vanguard newspaper, organized labor yesterday walked out of the minimum wage negotiation after rejecting the government and the organized private sector OPS new minimum wage proposals of 48,000 naira and 54. I was saying 56. I'm sorry, I don't even know what's with me in figures today, but 54,000 naira respectively. Now, under the umbrella of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and its Trade Union Congress of Nigeria counterparts, described the government proposal of 48,000 naira as not only insulting the sensibilities of Nigerian workers, but also falling significantly short of meeting their demands and aspirations. According to organized labor, what the government offered is a reduction in income for federal level workers who are already receiving 30,000 as mandated by law, augmented by former President Muhammadu Buhari's 40% peculiar allowance of 12,000 and the 35,000 wage award, totaling 77,000. At a joint briefing in Labour House by the President of the NLC, Joe Ajero, and the Deputy President of TUC, Dr. Tommy Okon, Labour lamented that the government's failure to provide any substantiated data to support its offer exacerbated the situation. It argued this lack of transparency and good faith undermines the credibility of the negotiation process and erodes trust between the parties involved, The NLC and TUC expressed profound disappointment as negotiations at the tripartite National Minimum Wage Committee resumed, was it yesterday, but reached an unfortunate impasse as a result of the apparent unseriousness of the government to engage in reasonable negotiations with Nigerian workers. So I'd like to hear from you. I'm going to the phone lines now. Let's get contributions. So let's know who's making the right arguments. That's why I've asked the question, what can 48,000 naira buy for the public sector? For the private sector, what do you think about 54? I was even adding 2,000 before, but now I know it's 54,000, and apologies for the mistake I made earlier. So yeah, let's go to the phone lines. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, and 0817 923 0007. I've got a commercial break coming up in 4 minutes time, so I'm going to quickly take my first call. 92.3.
Yes, Kalada, I think...
what's your name? Tell us your name first.
One thing we are doing wrong here is that I was made to understand that, you see, the bogus salary they pay in some of these advanced countries, they have a system on ground whereby it's like a cycle. You understand? By the time they pay you this huge salary, and you are expected to pay for your gas, electricity, utility, and tax, you understand? You almost have nothing or little to save. But the truth is that there is a system where the money goes to you in huge, and they take it back, and it comes back again, and goes back to the purse of the government. You understand? That is a system that is well managed. But in our own case, people are so, adamant, stubborn. They don't even want to sit down and think of a solution to this problem. What can 48 naira do in Nigeria?
48,000, you mean?
Yes, 48,000 naira do in Nigeria today in a month. Some of those countries we are even talking about, they pay them weekly. Canada, do you know that some of these neighboring countries we commonize? Do you know that their civil servants, they earn almost 2 or 3 times what our basic salary is here, or this minimum wage is here? And the government doesn't want to look at it. That this thing is so shameful. They don't even want to listen. I don't understand. This thing is very glaring. You understand? It's a fact. The salary is nothing to write home about.
Okay.
That is why you see anybody who survives in this country, he has other means of survival. Either he's corrupt in wherever he's, man to man. Any position he mans, he's corrupt.
All right, I've got to go. I've got to go.
Nothing to do, cannot help him out.
All right, then. I've got to go.
Look for other means.
All right. Thank you very much.
Dubious means to survive.
All right. I've got Don Mene from Bori. Please, quickly, we've got a commercial coming up.
Yeah, good evening.
Welcome.
The amount is nothing to go on with, because how much, if 200,000 cannot feed a family man for 2 weeks. But if we have critical infrastructure like power, like transport, like those basic amenities that people need, and they are paying less, subsidized for, people can manage. Today now, you are buying kerosene, you are buying everything. Gas is how much to gas, and that gas will last you for 2 days. If you buy gas 2,000, and you have to do that for your month. So I think it's not enough.
Okay, it's not enough, he says. We've got a commercial. I've got to go. Thank you.
The AZ Usozimini in Council, Chiefs
All right, 29 minutes to the top of the hour. Yes, it is time for you to call in and tell me what your thoughts are. And I've got a very simple question I'm asking, and I do think it relates to almost everybody listening right now. 48,000 naira, or is it 54,000 naira? What can it buy comfortably in the market, the current state of the market? What can it buy? Remember, there is petrol price off the roof. There is, food inflation off the roof as well. There all of these indices negatively affecting our economy. And I'm asking you what you think. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. I've got WhatsApp, and the number is 0809-0306-416. I'd like to get your thoughts, and let's get talking. This one says, Edo State is already paying 70,000 naira minimum wage. So what's federal government talking about? If it is their plot to drag on the minimum wage payment, Labour should apply drastic, urgent measure to achieve this goal. Wage award abruptly stopped, and FG is mercilessly increasing every necessary consumable. Victor from Egbema. This one says, Kalada, 48,000 naira will buy half bag of rice, and it's coming from BOB. All right, BOB, thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. And this says, good evening. Why is it that Labour and the FG are not talking about controlling the cost of running the economy? Inflation can never be resolved by incessant wage increment. The organized labour unions are so particular by increment without looking at the future consequence of this move. Elvis Mack from Airport Road. I've got Engineer Lumba from Port Harcourt. Lumba, welcome. What is on your mind? I like to hear.
I greet you, Canada.
I greet you right back. Welcome.
Canada, we have what we are reading and what is going on in the land. Let me tell you something. You see that the way people say the way you dress, the way they address you. Why they offer LNC this thing? The way LNC have conducted itself over the years. Because what happened here 2011 to 2012 during the time of Jonathan time and subsidy that made us receive that for us for almost 2 weeks. Do you know that somebody is saying for you now that what 48,000 can buy is a half bag of rice? And somebody called himself a leader that are leading the people, and then we give it to somebody to run a family. But him himself is sitting there, living in a free house, doing everything, eating everything for government. They do even do the one they do, that they use 160 something million, buy one motor for one person, and they turn around and give your fellow man for 8,000 to use run home family. Me, I just wonder whether within this food they run a government or there's something they need to tell us.
Right.
Because me, I think because if like this actually we are want to be going work in my one, it's obvious that that money cannot carry you the month to talk of to eat, even if map food for me.
Okay.
You see the type of country we have. That's why many people do not love Nigeria. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, Lumba. I've got Braid from Otweke in Bias Estate. Braid, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, great things to Mr. Bado.
All right, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the 48,000 minimum wage or 54,000. Canada, if I may ask, okay.
Braid, I can't hear you. I am Braid. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead. Let's get your thoughts, please, quickly.
Can you hear me?
Oh my.
Okay, Canada. Yeah, I feel that even their puppy, they cannot use that to say they are using it to feed their puppy for the month. I'm talking of paying Nigerian workers, great Nigerian workers, 48,000 as a minimum wage. When the tariff increased, the electricity tariff has increased, we are buying fuel at exorbitant prices. We are buying rice at exorbitant rate. Look at how much is carry right now. If I get to the sea right now, I cannot even get seafood anymore. And they are coming to say that they will pay 48,000 naira.
who do us this in this country?
All
Which of the country that is even paying 100,000 naira minimum wage? Which of the country? And I feel that if really they have Nigeria at heart, then by now the National Assembly members and the presidency to the governor, they should have reduced their wages by now. Look at the SUV they are using.
All right.
One of their SUV will pay civil servant until he retires. And coupled with his gratuity. He will not have that. And they are coming to tell us that they are going to pay Nigerian workers 48,000 naira.
All right, Brett, I've got to go. I
don't think they meant well for this country.
All right, thank you very much. I am Braid from Otweke. Now, I need to say this, that the NLC and TUC pulling out of negotiations with the federal government and the organized private sector, that's the pulling out from the minimum wage committee, means that there is most likely going to be a strike, sometime in the nearest future. It could be next week, it could be upper week, I don't know. I think Labour gave an ultimatum, but that was for the reversal of the electricity tariff hike. So we don't know how this will play out, but what that means is that there is no resolution in sight, there is no agreement in sight, and what will be next is, shutting down, or how do they say, downing tools. But let's get your calls coming in. I've got a message from Ibiso. So I'm just going to take a... Oh, wow. What's happening now? I'm going to take a listen.
Canada, good evening.
Yeah.
Nigeria matter again. To me, 48,000 will go nowhere. Now, let me just give you some breakdown. A basin of Gary today is 19,000 naira. Now, if you are paying light bill, let me say light bill, 10,000 naira. Gas, 16,500 naira for 12.5 kg. DSTV, it depends on the package you are paying for, or Go TV. Let me say 6,000 naira. If you're not talking of toiletries for your children and your own toiletry, we that is even self-employed is biting on us. Talk less of civil servants that they are paying, they want to pay 48,000. You will cook soup, you cook rice. So before the month end, you are spending more than 150,000 naira. So to me, I don't know how we are going to follow up this hardship that is going on in Nigeria now. You just go to the market. What you buy today for 1,000 naira, tomorrow go to say is 1,500 or 1,300. So to me, the government should think very well. In fact, they should invest into mechanized farming. At least that one will help the situation, and let our refinery work, because everybody now is talking of price of transport, price of fuel. Let the almighty refinery work. Thank you.
Canada, good evening. I'm Ogwo John Justice. If 48,000 naira cannot buy anything and NLC rejected it, NLC should be blamed for it. Because if NLC should take the federal government on their toes to ensure that refineries are working before the total removal of the subsidy, refinery would have been working now, and there wouldn't have been anything like increase in price of goods and services. And if they should put government on their toes, this VAT and dollar rises wouldn't have been done. So, but they went to Aso Rock to receive brand envelope and compromise the whole thing. Now they want federal government to pay them 615,000 as minimum wage. It will never happen. Let them accept the 48,000. I remain Ogwajon Adjust.
All right, you just made a very heavy allegation there. There's nowhere where you can pinpoint and say, oh, this is the point, or at this point, labor or organized labor took brown envelopes. But Chris Michael Dominic on Facebook says, good evening, Canada. I would love to ask, how much is the salary to the senator? Why are there so much wickedness in this country? Lawrence Friday says, good evening, Canada. For me, I support Labour. This government of President Tinubu does not have this country in mind. They always make empty promises. Look at the refinery. They keep posting the day refinery will work. Tamioto says, this minimum wage, is it multiplier to the 30,000 naira or addition? All right, I do not know how they arrived at it, and even Labour is saying that they did not give a scientific answer as to how they arrived at 48,000, but they are saying 48,000. This says, good evening. Inflation situation in Nigeria. This is quite unfortunate and worrisome. Goods and food stock skyrocketing in the market. The economic policy of APC is not working in Nigeria. New minimum wage. NLC should come up with a reasonable and acceptable minimum wage. I want to tell Clinton West with that one. When you say they should come up with reasonable and acceptable, what is it for you? I've got Clement from NTA Road. Clement, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Good evening, Mr. Kalada.
Yeah, welcome.
We are back to the minimum wage.
We are.
Remember, it was still in your show. I talked about everybody, including the Mama Akara on our street, should shut down the economy of this country. I said Mama Akara on the street that day and did not go down well with some people. See, I think we are enjoying. If we are not enjoying this country, we should stop complaining. The moment that woman has said on the streets, say, I need you again. And then
I remember, Clement, I've listened. I remember asking you on that day that when you shut down, would it solve the problem? Would it make the problem go away? Kalada. How will it make it? Because if you shut down, like I'm going somewhere, Clement. If you shut down, it means that you're worsening the already battered economic situation, because there will be no production of any kind.
Let me tell you.
I'm listening.
The person that countered it was the voice notes you read. That is the EBSO.
No, I forget about EBSO. Me, I also counted you.
I will have a question. Should it is said a basin of garden is 19,000 naira, right? How much is a rubber of beans? How much is granite oil? How much is pepper? How much is onions? How much is firewood that you use to make a bowl of akara? So if the woman can go to the market to buy a basin of beans or a rubber or a cup of beans and she's still in business, it simply means Nigeria is doing well.
Okay.
It simply means that you are enjoying the 48. If it will actually happen, we are enjoying it.
So you would rather she shuts...
You cannot be able to afford to buy that rubber of beans. And you cannot go and buy akara. And you see that small pack that they sell for 100 naira now, that cannot even fill, that cannot even fill, what is it called, the top of whatever, that you are buying for 100 naira now. The day you cannot afford it, then that is when you will know that Nigeria is actually set to shut down the economy.
All right, Clement, I've got to go. Thank you. I've got George from Radio Estate. George, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Kalada, good evening.
Yeah, I greet you.
And as I'm talking with you, I'm already pained. That is just the truth. Because I can remember in one of the presidential broadcasts, he said he's going to give labor a living wage. I don't know if this is the living wage he has promised labor. And when you have to do with things that are concerning labor, they will begin to tell committee this, committee that. But when it has to do with them, 1, 2, 3, they pass it and they go home and relax. In fact, the truth of the matter is that I don't know. It's not in my place to say. But the drum these people are beating, I wonder when it will happen, if they can dance to the tune of the music. That is just the truth. Considering the high inflation of things in this country, somebody will come and begin to talk of 48,000 naira for a civil servant to go home with family and other things. These who don't have our interests at heart for crying out loud.
So I'm Judge. Okay, Judge, educate me. How much do you think the government should offer?
Well, to a reasonable sum, if 300,000.
And you don't think you don't think it will worsen things in the country? Do you know how many people work for the federal civil service? Do you know how many people work for the state civil service? Now multiply.
Which I don't know, and there are also people that are not working that depends solely on all that are working.
Okay.
That's what we are talking here.
Okay, all right.
And the government keep promising they will do this, they will do that, they will do that. Now somebody is calling that Labour should hold them responsible in fixing of the refinery and other things that's supposed to boost the economy. What advice do they need that they're not giving to this government from inception of democracy in this country? What advice do they need that they've not given to them?
All right.
Or didn't they take a decision on their houses and keep their houses in order or their family? Can't they implement the same thing in general?
All right, Judge, I've got to go. I can feel your pain, but I really have to go. You've got so many questions there. But this one says, Kalada, this increase makes no economic sense. We should be fighting inflation and increase in production. Do we think it's only government that pays minimum wage? How many private firms can pay workers this new minimum wage? We are just shooting ourselves in the head. John Promise, remember, the private sector is to pay 54,000. This one says, Labour, put on your thinking cap. Too much liquidity in the system will increase the hyperinflation besieging Nigeria. Remember the unemployed. Instead, talk of job creation. Refineries revamping to reduce cost of fuels. Resuscitation of PAN, VON, Basita, sugars, steel industries and factories, electricity production, cheaper transportation, reduced cost of governance, ASO Rock, National and State Assemblies, etc. Goodness with that one. This one says we don't need rocket science to know that reducing cost of living and not incident increment of salary is the way to go. Government should borrow sense, I beg. Vera in Port Harcourt says reduce the cost of living, not increase the salaries. This was just agree to you. For the 8,000 naira will buy half a bag of rice or 13 painter rubber of Gary, but I'm just wondering what the federal government is up to. Instead of addressing the food insecurities and reducing the cost of governance, they are proposing 48,000 naira. Now, wow, Dan from Transamadi. That is why there is so much lateral aggression amongst the masses. And you do have a point with your second message. And this one says, okay, I think you're referring me to... Okay, he says, evening, Canada. I must say Nigerians are suffering. Also, am I, because I am a Nigerian, demand cost inflation would take over Nigeria if these policies are not put in place. They are. One, agriculture should be practiced at every community school, that's university, secondary or primary. There should be special hours for this. Food crops are now crumbling Nigerians. Please, food crops before cash crops. Feed Nigeria before exporting. Let's have in surplus before exporting. 2, there is every need for Nigerian government to regulate the market. And then you said agriculture is the major source of every developing nation. Please wake up, Nigeria. In 1930, one West African nation under federal citizens were getting to that state. Otto from Buguma with that one. And this one says, good day, Mr. Kalada. What is 48,000 naira when senators and ministers are going home with over 30 million naira each month? I think federal government should go back and have a rethink. 48,000 naira will go nowhere. Bakata from Uzwa community. And this one says, my brother, this country is confused. Even President Tinubu, with due respect, don't have what it takes to fix the country. Confidence in Lebanon from Ozuzuri Che with that one. This one says, it is pertinent to know that our leaders, politicians, do not mean well for the masses. 1 month take home of a senator can pay 50 to 100 civil servants from the first day on the job to retirement. Our leaders are greedy, selfish, and over-ambitious. They have so widened the gap between the rich and the poor to the extent that about 75% or more of the population are far below poverty line. I beg the government. Okay, Ken from Rukoko, let's end it there. I'm going to take one more call or 2 more calls and then we'll wrap things up. 92.3 Nigeria Info. What's your name? Yeah, where are you calling in from? Yes, what's your name, please?
Good evening. My name is Chukwemeka. I'm calling from Ilelewa.
All right, Chukwemeka from Ilelewa, welcome.
FG to pay labor 48,000 naira.
Yeah, something like that.
So if I'm not mistaken, from 60,000 to 48,000 naira, that means extra 18,000 naira was added.
Something like that. Something like that.
Okay. Well, it's well. Because I will not be against anybody. Even if we say they will not pay the money or we're not going to collect the money, it has gotten to the extent that government do not even listen to the masses again. The man that was talking that said that Akara woman should close, even if the Akara woman on the street close, it will never affect anybody from that place. It will also affect us here. It will affect us here. So if you ask me how much will the government pay, that will be okay. I will not say a word, because what I will say is government should try and invest in our country. Let them open up refineries, companies, so that we can even secure the job for ourselves.
Right.
Let them bring down the food cost. That is the most important thing. Because I can remember when they were paying the 30,000 naira, no one was complaining about it because everything was all right. Imagine you buy fuel at the rate of 800 naira. They are paying you for 10,000 naira. Thank you. It's well.
All right, thank you very much. I've got Charles from Rumibekwe. Charles from Rumibekwe, welcome. What is on your mind? Quickly, please.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, sorry, I want to read out a quote from Daily Farotimi.
Okay. I hope it's radio worthy, by the way, but go ahead.
Excuse me?
I said I hope it is radio worthy, words that can be used on radio.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, let's hear you then.
It said those who earn 37 million a month are telling those who earn 18K a month that paying them 30,000 would lead to inflation. But the victims earning 18K monthly would happily kill and die in protection of the interests of those sodomizing them. Now, I want to say something here. What will it cost our legislators to cut down their heavy paycheck? No, this is what is causing the problem we're having today. Until they think about this, because it hurts me, my brother, when we keep talking about, increase in salaries. At the end of the day, it's going nowhere. These guys are pushing Nigerians beyond the limits. And my worry is this. There's a limit to human endurance. If those guys there in Abuja don't think about cutting down their ridiculous paychecks, I hope they should be able to answer the call of Nigerians when the time starts.
All right, then. All right,
businesses are dead. People don't have anything.
All right.
It's hard to pay your kids' school fees. It's hard to pay your bills. And then people not even consider it. What will this new salary, what will he buy, my brother? Yesterday I went to buy petrol. You can imagine how much I bought petrol for almost this new which they want to implement or they're talking about.
Okay, Charles, really, I've got to go. I've got a commercial, but I feel your pain. I really do feel your pain, but it's time for a commercial break. And after that, the major news at 6. I am Kala Dakoru Batovo. A good evening.
The great flex about going solar and using inverters is the energy